The man went over the ledge before Zara could look away. She had been standing at her dormitory window with a glass of water, unable to sleep, watching the rain move across the city in slow gray curtains. It was her first night in Korea, her first night outside of Africa. She had been awake since the flight, too wound up with the strangeness of everything. The signs she couldn't read, the sounds outside that were wrong in small, familiar ways, the specific loneliness of a new place at 2 in the morning. She was not looking at the rooftop across the narrow gap between buildings. She was looking past it, at the skyline, at the lights. And then movement pulled her eyes down, and she saw it. 3 men on a rooftop, rain slicking everything flat and dark. 2 of them holding a third against the ledge, a man in a suit, older, struggling with the specific desperation of someone who knows exactly what is about to happen. And standing apart from the 2, still, watching with his arms loose at his sides, a younger man, late 30s. She could not see his face clearly through the rain in the distance, but she could see the tattoos. Even in that light, even through the water-streaked glass, ink climbing up his neck, covering everything visible. The kind of tattoos that were not decoration, but declaration. This is who I am. This is what I am. He nodded once. It was done in seconds. The older man went over. The 2 men stepped back, and the tattooed man turned, not away, not toward the exit, but up. His eyes swept the building across from him with the trained, automatic thoroughness of someone checking for witnesses. He found the window. He found her. For 2 seconds, they looked directly at each other through the rain. Zara did not move. She did not scream. Something in her body went very still and very cold, and her mind, which had always been faster than her fear, began running calculations immediately. Then he looked away. He said something to the 2 men. They left through a rooftop door. The night swallowed them. Zara set her glass down on the windowsill with careful precision. She stepped back from the window. She sat on the edge of her bed in the dark room and breathed and thought. She had arrived in this country 6 hours ago with a full scholarship, a suitcase, and the weight of every person back home who had sacrificed something to make this moment possible. Her mother had cried at the airport, the controlled, dignified kind of crying that her mother reserved for things that were too large for words. Her younger brother had carried her suitcase all the way to the gate, even though she told him not to. Her aunt had pressed money into her hand that Zara knew she could not afford to give. She had not come this far to become a witness to a murder on her very first night. She picked up her phone. She found the emergency number she had written in her notes before arriving. Her thumb hovered. And then there was a knock at her door. She did not move. The knock came again, quiet, deliberate, not the knock of someone didn't know what they wanted. I know you were at the window. The voice was low, controlled, English with a Korean accent, coming through the door like he had measured exactly how much volume was required and used precisely that. What you saw tonight connects to people who do not leave witnesses. I am one of those people. I am also the only reason you are still in this room having this conversation instead of something worse. So I need you to take the chain off and let me in so we can talk about what happens next. That was 30 seconds, and you used it to threaten me and claim credit for not killing me yet. Try again. A pause. Something shifted in his jaw, not quite a smile, not far from one. My name is Kwon Tae-young. I am 34 years old. I run a significant portion of this city's criminal infrastructure. Tonight, I was on that rooftop doing something that you should not have seen. You did see it. That makes you a problem. He paused. I would like to solve that problem without you being harmed. That is only possible if you open this door. Zara studied him through the gap. She was reading him the way she read everything, fast, layered, looking for the thing underneath the surface. He was not performing reassurance. He was not soft-pedaling. He had told her exactly what he was and exactly why he was here, and left the decision entirely with her. That, she thought, was the most honest thing a dangerous man had ever said to her, or the most calculated. She took the chain off. She opened the door. She stepped back and kept 4 feet of space between them and said, "You have 10 minutes. Sit there." She pointed to the desk chair. She sat on the bed. "Talk." He sat. He looked at the small room, the unpacked suitcase, the scholarship documents on the desk, the video call still open on her phone showing her family's faces frozen mid-goodbye. Something moved across his expression and was gone. He told her the shape of it without the details. The man on the rooftop had been Chairman Bach, a businessman with connections to parties that the Kwan family had been managing a dispute with for 2 years. The dispute had reached its conclusion tonight. Zara had been at the wrong window at the wrong time. The 2 men with him on the rooftop had not seen her. He had chosen not to tell them. "Why?" asked Zara. "Because you are not part of this." "That's not a reason. That's a description of a fact." She looked at him steadily. "You could have pointed at my window and it would have been handled before I even understood what was happening. You didn't. Why?" He was quiet for a moment. The rain outside had softened to a murmur. "I looked at your window," he said, "and I saw someone who had just arrived somewhere new and was standing in the dark because she couldn't sleep. That is all. It had nothing to do with anything." He said it like he was still working out what it meant himself. Zara looked at him. "And now?" "And now I need you to go to your classes tomorrow morning, walk your normal route, eat in the cafeteria, do not call the police, do not change your behavior, do not tell your roommate, do not tell anyone. I will manage what needs to be managed on my side. In a week, this will be over, and you will never see me again." "And if I say no?" He met her eyes. "Then I cannot protect you from what my father decides to do when he finds out there was a witness, and he will find out." The words landed like weight. Zara sat with them. She looked at his neck, at the ink that declared who he was to everyone who looked at him, and she thought about her mother's face at the airport, her brother carrying her suitcase, her aunt pressing money into her hand. She thought about everything that had been given so she could be sitting in this room. 1 week. I go to my classes, I behave normally, you manage your side, and then this is done. Yes. And if your side is not managed in 1 week? It will be. That is not what I asked. He looked at her for a long moment. Then we renegotiate, he said. She studied him. She made a decision. She said, "Go." He stood. He moved to the door. He paused with his hand on the frame and said, without turning, "Lock this. Put something against it. Not because I will come back, because you will sleep better." And then he was gone. Zara locked the door. She put the desk chair against it, and then she sat on her bed and did not sleep at all. The call came to Kwon Dae-ho at 7 in the morning. He was at his breakfast table when his head of security entered and stood at the correct distance and said, "There was a witness on the rooftop last night, a window in the dormitory building. One of the men saw it after the fact." Dae-ho set down his tea. He was 55 years old, trim, unhurried, the kind of man whose stillness had a weight to it. He had built his organization across 3 decades through a combination of precision and the complete absence of sentimentality. Problems were identified and resolved. That was the entire philosophy. "Does Tae-young know?" he asked. His security chief paused for 1 second too long. "He knows," Dae-ho said, "not a question." "It appears so." Dae-ho was quiet for a moment. He picked up his tea again, took a slow sip, set it down. "Send someone to the dormitory, someone good. Tell them to identify the witness and report back to me. Tell them not to act without my instruction." He paused. "And call Tae-young. Tell him I know." Tae-young was in his car outside the university when his phone rang. He saw his father's name and answered immediately. "There was a witness," his father said. "Warm, conversational, the most dangerous register Daeho had." "I know," Tae-young said. "I'm handling it." "I know you are." A pause. "I'm sending someone to help." The call ended. Tae-young sat for a moment, engine running, rain still coming down. Then he got out of the car and walked toward the dormitory. Zara was halfway through her first lecture when she noticed the man in the corridor. She had made it through the morning on adrenaline and the specific discipline of someone who had taught herself to function through difficult things. Her roommate Celine had talked enough at breakfast for both of them, asking questions about Africa, about the flight, about whether Zara liked Korean food, and Zara had answered everything with the warmth she did not entirely feel and managed to eat half a bowl of rice before her stomach closed. The lecture hall was large and full, and the professor spoke in a mix of Korean and English that Zara followed carefully. She had her notebook open. She was taking notes. She was almost managing to be present. And then she noticed the man in the career outside the glass wall of the corridor. He was not a student. He was dressed like one, casual jacket, bag on one shoulder, but he had not looked at his phone in 4 minutes despite holding it, and his eyes tracked the room with the specific, methodical patience of someone looking for a face. He found hers. He held it for 1 second, then looked away. Zara closed her notebook. She put it in her bag. She waited until the professor turned to the board, and then she stood and slipped out through the side door at the front of the hall, the one that opened into the main building rather than the corridor where the man was standing. She moved fast through the building, down a stairwell, through a service corridor she had noticed that morning during orientation. She came out on the far side of the building and crossed the courtyard to the dormitory through a route that added 4 minutes but kept her out of sight lines. She was on the second-floor landing when she heard his steps below her in the stairwell. Still following, she went up instead of continuing to her floor, pushed through the rooftop access door, and watched through the wire glass panel as he came through the second-floor landing and stopped. He took out his phone. He made a call. She took out hers and called the only number she had. Tae-yang answered on the second ring. "There is a man following me," she said. "He was outside my lecture hall. He followed me when I left. He is on the second floor of my dormitory right now calling someone." She kept her voice flat and even. "Your father's?" A silence that was its own confirmation. "Go to your room," he said. "Lock the door. Do not open it for anyone but me. 20 minutes. "Tae-yang," she said his name with a precision that made him stop. "You told me 1 week. It has been 12 hours. "I know. Fix this." She hung up. She went to her room. She locked the door and did not put the chair against it this time because she knew she would need to open it quickly. He arrived in 17 minutes. She opened the door before he knocked. He looked at her. Something moved in his face. Relief, she thought, and then something harder replacing it immediately. He was wearing a dark jacket, collar up, and the tattoos on his neck were vivid above the fabric, undeniable, a permanent announcement of everything he was. He stepped inside. He told her about the man his father had sent. He had sent him away. "For now," Zara said. "For now," he agreed. She sat on the bed. He stood near the door, the way he had the first time, keeping the space between them. "Your father's not going to stop," she said. "You sending one man away does not change his thinking. You know that." "Yes." "So what is the actual plan? Not the temporary version, the real one?" He didn't answer. She looked at him steadily and understood something in his silence. He did not have one yet. He had been running on instinct since the rooftop, making decisions in the moment, and the moment was catching up. "Sit down," she said. He sat. Zara opened her laptop. "I've been thinking since last night," she said. "I am dangerous to your family because I'm a loose end with nothing protecting me. No leverage, no insurance, no reason for your father to decide I am more trouble to remove than to leave alone." She turned the screen toward him. "So I need to change that calculation." She had spent the morning, between watching the man in the corridor, between trying to focus on the lecture, between breathing through the fear she would not let anyone see, building something. She had researched Chairman Beck, what he was, what he had been connected to. She had found 3 threads that, pulled carefully, led back to the Kwan family in ways that were not public record. She was not a journalist. She was not law enforcement. She was a 23-year-old scholarship student from Africa who had been solving complex problems since she was old enough to understand that no one else was going to solve them for her. "If anything happens to me," she said, "this information goes to 3 separate destinations simultaneously, automatically. I cannot stop it once it's set up. Your father cannot stop it. It would require knowing exactly who I sent it to and getting to all 3 of them before any of them open the file, which is not possible." She paused. "I need your help finishing the technical setup, and then I need you to tell your father it exists." Taeyang stared at her. He looked at the screen. He looked at what she had built in 12 hours on no sleep in a foreign country where she did not speak the language. Something moved across his face, something she had not seen there before, something that looked almost like awe. "You built a dead man's switch," he said. "I built the beginning of one. You are going to help me finish it." He was quiet for a long moment. Then he leaned forward, put his elbows on his knees, and looked at her directly. "If I take this to my father, it changes everything between him and me. He will know I chose you over the family protocol." "You already chose that on the rooftop," Zara said quietly. He had no answer for that, because it was true, and he knew it was true, and she knew it was true. And they both sat with it for a moment in the small room with the rain outside and her unpacked suitcase in the corner and her scholarship documents on the desk. "Help me finish this," she said. "Then go talk to your father." He helped her finish it. The meeting between Taeyang and his father lasted 22 minutes. Daeho listened to everything his son told him without interrupting. He sat in his chair with the stillness that was his particular brand of danger, and he listened. And when Taeyang finished, he was quiet for a long time. "She built this in 12 hours, Daeho said. "Yes." "A foreign student. First week, first day, technically." "Yes." Daeho looked at his son. He was reading him. The thing he had always been able to do with Taeyang that Taeyang had never been able to prevent, no matter how much he had trained himself. He saw what he expected. His son had made a choice that was not rational and was not going to be unmade. He also saw something he had not expected, something that made him look more carefully. "She is not going to talk," Taeyang said. "She wants her scholarship, she wants her degree, she wants to go home in 4 years with everything she came for. She has no interest in destroying that over something she did not ask to see. She wants to be left alone." "And you?" Daeho asked. "What do you want?" A silence. "I want her left alone," Taeyang said. Daeho looked at his son for a long time. He picked up his tea. He drank it. He set it down. "She stays," he said. "The information she has built, I want to know where it goes if something happens to her. I will ask her. You will tell me." Taeyang stood. "I will ask her." He walked out, and Daeho sat in the silence his son left behind and turned a thought over slowly, examining it from every side. His son had looked at a witness and decided she was worth protecting. His son had been in this organization since he was 19 years old, and in 15 years, Daeho had never seen him make a decision that did not calculate perfectly. Until now. He filed it away. He watched, because that was what he did, and he waited. Taeyang came back to the dormitory that evening. Zara opened the door and looked at his face and said, "He agreed." "Until now," Taeyang said. "I know. Come in." They sat in the small room, him at the desk, her on the bed, and she asked him to tell her exactly what his father had said and what it meant and what she needed to watch for. He told her. She listened and asked precise questions, and he answered them. And somewhere in the middle of it, he realized they had been talking for an hour, and it had not felt like strategy. It had felt like conversation. "Why did you come back tonight?" she asked. "You could have sent a message." He looked at her. The tattoos on his neck were eye level with her from across the room, and she had stopped reacting to them sometime in the last 12 hours, the way you stopped reacting to something that was simply true about a person. "I wanted to make sure you were all right," he said. "I am all right." "I know." He paused. "I wanted to see it." She looked at him for a moment. Outside the window, the city was beginning to quiet into its late-night frequencies. Her phone buzzed. Her mother, checking in with the time difference wrong again, asking if she had eaten. She looked at the message and something crossed her face that she didn't bother hiding. The particular, complicated emotion of being far from the people you love and knowing they are worrying about you and not being able to fix that from where you are. "Message her," Taeyang said quietly. She looked up. He was watching her with an expression she had not seen from him before, not the controlled blankness of the rooftop, not the careful negotiation of the first night. Something more unguarded than either of those, something that looked like recognition. "She's worried," Zara said. "Tell her you're fine." "I don't lie to my mother." "Tell her you're handling it." Zara almost smiled. She typed the message. Her mother responded in seconds with 3 separate voice notes. Taeyang watched her listen to them with her phone pressed to her ear, watched the way her face changed when she heard her mother's voice, softened, opened, became something younger and less armored. He looked away. It felt like something private he was not supposed to see. Then his phone buzzed. He read it. His jaw tightened. "The man your father sent?" Zara said. She had been watching his face. "The one you turned away?" He looked at her. "He has been talking to a rival faction. He was angry about being dismissed. He told them there was a witness." He paused. "They don't know who yet, but they are looking." The room shifted. What had been a problem contained within one family had just multiplied. Zara closed her eyes for exactly 3 seconds. Then she opened them. "So now we have 2 threats." "Yes. And your father's protection only covers the first one." "Yes." She looked at him across the small room. He looked back at her. Neither of them looked away. Outside the window, the rain had started again, the same rain that had been falling when this all began. The same city indifferent to what was happening inside this small room, between these 2 people who had been strangers 24 hours ago and were not anymore. "Then we need a better plan," she said. He nodded slowly. "Yes. And you are going to help me build it." It was not a question. He did not treat it like one. "Yes," he said. And something in the way he said it, quiet, certain, like a door closing on every other option, made it clear that the decision had been made somewhere before tonight, somewhere on a rainy rooftop when he had looked at a window and chosen, for reasons he was still working out, not to point. Zara pulled her laptop open. He moved his chair closer to the desk. They worked through the night, the rain outside steady and uninterested, the city going about its enormous indifferent business, and inside the small room, something was beginning that neither of them had names for yet, but both of them could feel. The specific gravity of 2 people who had been through something real together and come out on the same side. She had come to this country for a scholarship. She had come to build something for herself and for everyone back home who believed she could. None of that had changed. None of that was going away. But the life she was building had acquired a shape she had not anticipated, and somewhere between the rooftop and the rain and the man with ink up to his jaw who kept coming back to make sure she was all right, she had stopped wanting it to go away. If this story kept you from looking at your phone for the last 30 minutes, that is exactly what this channel is built for. Two worlds, real tension, characters who choose each other when they didn't have to. Hit the like button right now if Zara and Taeyang need a part 2. It takes 1 second, and it tells the algorithm this story is worth pushing. Subscribe so you are there when part 2 drops. This channel is growing fast, and we do not want you to miss what comes next. And drop your answer in the comments. Did Taeyang fall first, or was it Zara? Read the story again carefully. The answer is in there. We want to know what you think.